And then, of course, I will also record marking the review as well. So even though you will have it actually marked, you'll also see how it was done properly, in case you didn't get time to correct it when we get around to marking it. Okay? So we'll start with the quiz first. So, square root of 16, almost 0.16, almost everybody got it. You know that the square root of 16 equals 4, but you also knew you needed one decimal place, because there were two decimal places there. So either you thought this as the square root of 16 over 100, which is 4 over 10, which is 0.4, or you remembered that the square root of 16 was 4 and you needed one decimal place for A. Okay? Or you punched it into your calculator and checked. Either way. Calculate the number whose square root is 9. If that's the root, I got to do 0.9 squared, which is 0.9 times 0.9, which is, of course, 81, with two decimal places, 0.81, A. Which fraction is a perfect square? Straight out of your notes. 49 is, 60 isn't. 49 is, 225 is. 28, no. 225, yes. And neither of them. So it had to be that guy. You go down here and you see that that is A. If you put the two little I's, I still gave you full marks. No big deal. Okay? Any questions about that one? Okay. Which numbers are perfect squares? Well, you know 32 isn't, because I gave you the list at the top, right? And you know 16.9 isn't, because it only has one decimal place. So it could only be these two, right? So you could have checked them with a calculator, or you could have just checked down here. It had to be two of them, right? And it had to be 1 and 4. C. This was tricky, but I was really glad that Bryn asked this exact question when we were doing our notes. Because neither of them is a perfect square, is it? But if you simplify that to 36 over 49, now they're perfect squares, aren't they? 6 over 7. B. Well, that was about 50-50. Half the class got it, half the class didn't. And the squares are closest to 22.5. So what do I have to do to all these numbers? I got to square them. So 4 squared was 16, 5 squared was 25. Right? It's B. Is 9 squared is 81, 25 squared is 625, 4 squared is 16, 9 squared is 81, so it can't be that one. 16 squared is 256, and 25 squared is 625. It had to be B. Everybody cool? Any questions from the first page? Everybody happy? Okay. Which decimal has a square root between 14 and 15? So you could have used your calculator, or you could have looked up here. Square root 14 and 15. It had to be between 196 and 225, didn't it? Right? So you go back here. What's between 196 and 225? 204.5. D. And which fraction has a square root between 3 and 4? So the root is between 3 and 4. So the square must be between 9 and 16, correct? 52 divided by 3 is 17.1 or something like that. Is 17.1 in there? No. 61 divided by 3. Well, that's 20. That's not in there. 37 divided by 4. That's 9.25. Is that in there? So there's your right answer. C. Not many people got that. Okay? Remember, squares go up, square roots go down. Determine this. It was right on the chart at the beginning, wasn't it? You didn't even need a calculator. What's the square root of 289? 17. Over the square root of 361, 19. It's right on the chart at the beginning. Square root is this. So I need the square, don't I? So I got to do 12 over 13 times 12 over 13, which is 144 169ths. This one. If it's a perfect square, it has to have what?
Equal size.
No. Yeah, if we draw it as a square. But what does it have to have as a decimal?
Equal to the square root.
It's got to have how many decimal places? 2 or even number of decimal places. 36, that's on our chart, so it's okay. 3.6, that's one decimal place. Is 1 an even number? Nope. Dead. 2 decimal places, is that okay? And 36 is a square, so we're good. 3 decimal places? Nope. 4 decimal places? Yep. You needed all 3 to get the full mark. If you had an extra one, I took off half a mark. And finally, the roots are here. So if the roots are there, what do you got to do to those numbers? Times them by itself. So it was 6.76 and 7.84, I think it was? 29.
If you only did like 6.7, is it wrong?
Now just wait a sec. I'll get to this in a sec, Craig. It has to be between those two. So it had to be bigger than 6.76, so 6.77, but smaller than 7.29. So most of you would have done 0.28. Had to be between there, and anything between there. Would 7.0 have worked? Yeah, because it's between 6.67 and 7.29. Would 7.1 have worked?
Yes.
Would 6.9 have worked? Yeah, you picking up what I'm putting down? Square roots means you got to square them. Okay? Now, you don't need to feel bad. That's why it's a quiz. They're not worth very much. We do the quizzes so we're ready for the tests. Okay? So don't stress. Cool? All right. Negative 1.77. Negative 2.33.
Negative, it's just
Negative 1.7, repeating the...
Yep, that's what I did.
We're restarting it here.
And negative 2.2. Find the numbers between them. Well, you've already done it. Negative 2.3 is right there. Negative 1.77 is right there. So any numbers between there would get you the full marks. Okay, I'm not going to write out all the options because how many options are there? Infinite. As long as you have something between 1.77 and 2.3, you've got it right. Everything is worth 1 mark. So 1, 2, 3, 4 marks so far. Everybody with me?
Yep.
Mark your own. If we get to a point where I'm marking and you're not done that yet, this is online. I'm going to put it up. Mark it tonight and be honest.
Are you recording?
I'll know if you're cheating because you're going to be writing a test on it on Monday.
Wait, do we tell you the score on Monday?
Yeah. Order these numbers from least to greatest. That should look pretty familiar to you. We've already seen that. That's negative 3.9. That's negative 3.8. That's negative 3.3. And that's negative 3.5. Least to greatest. Negative 3.9. Negative 3 4/5. Negative 7 over 2. And then negative 3.3 for 1 mark. Everybody good? Add these up. 2.7. 6.7. Negative 10.2. 3 marks. Everybody still good?
Yeah.
Okay. Negative 7/8. Negative 5/12. Now remember, you don't have to do it this way, right? You don't have to follow my example. You can do it your own way. But if you followed my example, your answer is 1 2/9. I think. Let me double check. Yep, 1 2/9. For 3 marks there, making the whole first page out of 3, 6, 7, and 4, making the whole first page out of 11. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Remember, on Monday morning, I'm going to go over anything that needs more explanation. And you can watch this video tonight to get the right answers. But please, guys, be honest when you mark it, right? The only person you're hurting is yourself, A, and B, we got the Skittles because we were able not to go over this in the long term. Okay? So this is
Who's throwing Skittles?
1/12. Guys, I'm going to make this real simple for you. If I find even one Skittle on the ground, it's the end of the fun stuff for the rest of the 3 weeks. So you guys decide. Is throwing one Skittle worth not doing anything else that's kind of fun like this? Then by all means, throw your Skittles. I think you know me well enough by 3 days to know I am dead serious. 3/5 minus 2 1/7. That is 3/5 minus 15/7, which is 21 minus 75, which is negative 54/35. And then this one, negative 4 7/10. 1 mark each. Positive, negative, positive, negative. I should only give you a half mark each. I'm going to give you 1 mark each. So that's worth 4 marks there. Find the product. You should recognize these. A couple of them were on your last test, your last quiz. 2 of these are positive, right? So it's 11/50 for 1. This one's going to be negative, and it's going to be 1, 3, 1, 5, negative 5/3. What about this one? What do I have to do with that 1 1/3? I got to change it to 4/3. Do your canceling. 1, 4, 1, 5. 5/4, but it has to be negative because one of them was negative. And this one, they're both negative, so it's going to be positive. 11/3 times 25/11. You saw this on your last quiz. Gone, gone. 25/3. And of course, I will accept all of these as mixed numerals. Good? Circle the best answer. What's that close to?
30.
What's that close to?
5.
30 times 5 is 150, right? So which of these is the best answer? 141, because it's close to 150. 5 times 1, I need the thing closest to 5, right? 3.78. 305 is 300 times 3.2, which is 3. 300 times 3 is 900. I need the closest to 900. And 37, 40, 2. 40 times 2 is 80. Closest thing to 80, 160. 60. Everybody good? Making that page out of 7, 11, And 4 makes that page out of 15. .5 times 0.8, and you needed to use your calculator to get 28 meters.
Oh, I got it right.
Divide. Remember, you flip the second one. Cancel, cancel. 2, 1. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 7 is 7. Negative 2 sevenths. From your quiz. Flip the second one. I'm making them both positive because the answer is going to be positive. 1, 4. 7 over 20. 2 marks there. Evaluate. This is bed mass, yes? So, $14. And over here, what do I do first? I got to do the divided by, right? So it's 1 3/4. I got to do this. 2/3 times 9 over 8. But it's negative. 1, 4, 1, 3. So it's negative 3/4. So it's 1 3/4 plus negative 3/4. So what happens to those 2 3/4? I have 1 3/4 positive, and then I'm taking away 1 3/4. So what's left? 1. Square root 4 49ths. 1.96. 2 marks there. 2 marks there. First one's done. Yes. 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 No, no. 2 marks there. Making that page out of 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Find the square roots. 3/7, 4/5, 6/11. 3 marks. Can that be a perfect square?
Yes.
Yes. Is it? Square root 4.84. It is. Because the number ends. Right? 2.2. What about 3.63?
No.
No. 98.01?
Yes.
Yep. And 67.24?
Yes.
Really? I'm surprised about that one. Okay, I believe you. 4 marks there. This one, how did you do it? There's no right answer, is there? It's what you did. I punched into my calculator, I checked if it was rational. Whatever, right? As long as you wrote something there, you get a free mark. And it can't be something obvious like Mr. Myers is so good looking and funny. It can't be something that obvious. Actually, if you wrote that, you can have 5 extra marks.
I did it. Really?
Shut up!
If I write that at the top of the page on the test, do I get an
No. Estimate. What's that close to?
What about equal to 20?
It's almost 9, isn't it? Right? So it's got to be less than 9, less than 3, but more than 2. So 2.4, 2.5, anything like that. This one has to be slightly more than 8, yes? Can it be 9? No, it's got to be around 8.2. Anything near them, I'm happy. 2 marks there. Estimate. 15 is close to what? 16. 79 is close to what?
80.
81. So it's 4 over 9, yeah? What about this one? 25 and 49. So it's 5 over 7. Cool? This is a big mess. Anything between 4 and 9. Any number between 4 and 9 gets you the mark. And any decimal in there too. Any number between 36 and 49. Any number gets you the mark. Making that page out of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 14. And finally, Bryn, pay attention. I didn't have the hypotenuse, so this is an add, yes? 2.2 squared plus 1.1 squared. 2.2 squared plus 1.1 squared is 6.05. And then I take the square root of that. 2.46. 1 mark. What about this one? Same thing, but I rotated the triangle. 1.8 squared, 2.8 squared. 11.08, take the square root. 3.33 for 1 mark, making the back page out of 2. Any questions?
Are we giving you our marks now?
Hold up. No, it's 109. I'm not going to take marks now. Yo.